Hello Muslim friends of the world. The Philippines is the only country in Southeast Asia that is always identified with Spain. This is natural, considering that in the past, this island nation was part of a Spanish colony. However, not many people know that before the arrival of the Spanish, the Philippines was ruled by a Muslim migrant of Minang blood. This was revealed in a virtual Ramadan Talk event entitled Islamic Minorities in Southeast Asia on Monday, May 11, 2020 by Cahyo Pamungkas. According to the P2W Lippi researcher who raised the theme History of Islam in the Philippines, Indonesia had quite a big influence in the introduction of Islam to the country whose capital is Manila. Geographically, the Philippines has two large archipelagos, namely to the north the Luzon Islands and their clusters, and to the south there are the Mindanao Sulu Islands, also their clusters which are inhabited by the Moro people. In 1380, Islam entered the southern region, especially the Mindanao and Sulu Islands. In history, it is recorded that the person who first spread Islamic teachings in the islands was Karamul Mukdum, an Arab healer and cleric, and Raja Baginda or Raja Bagindo. King Baginda himself was a prince from Minangkabau, West Sumatra. He came to the Sulu Islands after 10 years of successfully preaching Islam in the Zamboanga and Basilan Islands. From there the beginning of Islamic civilization was initiated. After that, Islam was spread to Lanao Island in northern Zamboanga, as well as other coastal areas. All of this was done under the leadership of Islam, who had the title of Datuk or King. This development of Islam continued until the arrival of the Spanish, explained Cahyo. Apart from King Baginda, there was another figure from West Sumatra who influenced the development of Islam in the Philippines, namely King Suleiman, who once ruled in the Tanda and Manila areas around 1570 to 1574. Together with King Matanda, King Suleiman ruled the Tagalog tribe in the area south of the Pasig River in Manila. Meanwhile, King Lacangela ruled the area north of the Pasig River in Manila. Long before the Spanish arrived, the Kingdom of Manila had developed rapidly and collaborated in trade with other kingdoms on the opposite island. Records regarding King Suleiman's identity were found in Mokhtar Naim's 1974 dissertation entitled Maranta, Migration Patterns of the Minangkabau Tribe. In his dissemination, evidence was found that there were some Minangkabau people who had migrated to the Sulu Islands, Philippines, including traces of King Suleiman, who finally founded Manila. During his reign, King Suleiman succeeded in introducing Islam to the Tagalog tribe. In fact, it is said that the name Philippines comes from the word Faya Manila, which means being protected by Allah. However, since the fall of the Manila Kingdom, many Muslims from the Tagalog tribe were converted to Christianity by Spain. The power of the three kings was finally conquered by Spain in 1574. Spain was able to conquer the northern region easily, but not the southern part, which was inhabited by Muslims. This is proven by the large amount of resistance in the southern region against Spain. Spain failed to conquer the Sulu and Mindanao Islands. However, they still consider the islands to be part of their territory. Then in 1898, Spain sold the islands to the United States, U.S., through the Treaty of Paris. On August 20, 1898, the U.S. and the Moro authorities signed the Bates Treaty, which promised freedom of religion, freedom of opinion and freedom of education for the Moro people. This agreement is only valid temporarily, because after America took control of the Philippines and movements to spread Islam became increasingly restricted. Since then, disputes and rebellions have continued in the Philippines from pre-colonial times until now, said Cahyo. The Philippines is the 12th country with the highest population level, namely more than 120 million. The majority of the population is Christian. The percentage reaches 90% of the total population, of which 80% are Catholics. While Muslims only make up around 5% of the population, the majority live in southern Mindanao. In fact, Islam was the majority in the 15th century in the Philippines until the establishment of the Islamic Kingdom, namely the Sultanate of Sulu. According to the P2W Lippi researcher who raised the theme History of Islam in the Philippines, the development of Islam in the Philippines has recently been much better. One of them is the establishment of an Islamic center which is located right in front of the Malacanang Palace, namely in the Barangay 645 area, Manila. Founded in 2002, inside this Islamic center stands a housing complex inhabited by 32,000 Muslims. The majority, or around 60%, come from the Maranao tribe. The rest are the Maguindanao and Iranon tribes from western Mindanao and the Tao Sug, Yakan and Sama tribes from the Sulu region. Currently, the influence of the Middle East is very pronounced, especially in Mindanao. Many Mindanao Muslims study in Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Egypt. Some of them receive scholarships, explained Cahyo. Usually the alumni become teachers, establish schools and become religious leaders who continue to spread the teachings of Islam. They usually become respected community figures. Meanwhile, in big cities like Manila, Muslims there are quite able to mingle with followers of other religions, he continued. Cahyo added that there is still a view that Muslims who live in interior areas or far from big cities are often considered to have the potential to rebel or adhere to certain radical sects. However, recently the issue has subsided somewhat, especially regarding the attitude of Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, which is often considered controversial. In a speech on February 15, 2019, he praised Islam, after previously criticizing members of the Catholic clergy. Speaking in front of a predominantly Muslim audience in Cotabato City, Duterte exclaimed, "There is a part of me that is actually Islamic," he said in Tagalog, as reported by ABS-CBN News. This shocking claim was made by Rodrigo Duterte as an emphasis on the draft Bangsamoro Organic Law, which will give the Muslim community in the southern Philippines greater entity and autonomy and is expected to have an impact on local political and economic progress. When starting his speech, Duterte was also heard several times glorifying the name of Allah, who, according to him, has brought goodness to enable the achievement of a new era of BOL society. Another development, Eid al-Fitr in the Philippines is not very lively. However, last year, President Duterte declared Eid al-Fitr a national holiday. Meanwhile, during Ramadan, especially before the corona pandemic occurred, Muslims in Metro Manila usually broke their fast together at the mosque and would continue having dinner at their respective homes after performing Tarawih prayers. At the Golden Mosque Quiapo, the iftar menu is often provided alternately by the embassies of Islamic countries from the Middle East. Usually, about half an hour before breaking the fast, people are already queuing. Children usually accompany their parents to the mosque, so the mosque courtyard looks busy during the month of Ramadan.